What's up, y'all? It's throwing light, and if you're not throwing light, what you're not acting right. I heard everyone say that. I'm glad to be back here. Just a little update. If you've been following us on the Facebook page, LTJ Reads is on in Facebook jail, so y'all won't see me on Facebook until September 11th. I don't know why that date had to be the date it is, but that is so. Sorry, we're here on Instagram. You can check out my website and YouTube for these videos. So please, if you want to tell people, be like, hey, LTJ's in jail. Okay, it's not like real jail, so I'll be okay. All right. Now let's kick it over to Vanis, my IML sibling, IML class 46, here on Throwing Line as a guest. Let's jump right into it, Vanis. What's up?
Hello, hello. It's a
Tell
pleasure to
everybody
be
where you're
here.
at. Tell everybody where you're at.
I'm currently at my home in Rockville, but primarily based out of Baltimore, up here in Maryland.
So, is it warm?
Right now it is, miserably so.
What's the temperature?
I want to say it's in the 80s today, 90s, close to the 90s.
Well, we're in the hundreds down here in Texas, my friend.
All right, look. There's only so much I can do.
Yeah, I don't think you would like that too much down here because we're literally just like 2 degrees below hell. So,
No, I left Florida for a reason.
oh, Florida has pretty parts, not so much Texas.
But fair.
So, let's go ahead and jump in. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you've done, and how you first got involved in the community?
Yeah, my name is Vanis. I was Mixed Maryland Leather 2024. I'm a member of the Vixens out of here in Baltimore, a member of the Murin Leather family, associate of Command MC, and a fully professed sister of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence down here in DC, the Abbey of Magnificent Intentions. I've been in the community for probably close to 9 years now. I got my start down in New Orleans. I was definitely old enough to be doing the things that I was doing. Uh, kind of got my start there. Uh, According to the bartenders, I was, and that's all that matters.
Why were you in New Orleans?
Because I lived in Panama City, Florida at the time, and there was no leather community there. I lived with my first sir at the time, Gadget. He kind of took me under his wing, really gave me the ropes. But because there was no community down there in Panama, I moved over to New Orleans. Not moved, but was driving 5 hours every weekend just to go get some sense of community.
And I mean, a lot of people have to do that, I get it.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
so the New Orleans leather scene is how you got your start.
it is. Yeah. I met Sister Prim and Proper of the New Orleans Sisters. Uh, that individual became really, really close with me. Kind of gave me a start. Helped me learn about pup play more. I got really involved with Nola Paw. I helped out with Southernmost Puppy a few times as den puppy, judge's puppy, various positions. Regularly attended their bar nights. Helped them out with that.
Which
Yeah.
bar? Which
What was
bar?
that?
Bars?
Uh, One more time. I'm sorry.
What bars did y'all?
It was primarily the Phoenix.
Okay, it was the Phoenix. Okay,
Almost always the Phoenix. Yeah. A few events I think at Lafitte's and Mags, but almost always the Phoenix.
I am going to Decadence for the second year in a row.
Love Decadence.
Yeah, I got to judge the Miss Louisiana Leather Contest last year. So
Oh, rad.
that was really cool. And our brother Jimmy was his step down.
Hmm.
But I'm going back this again this year, but it's for my nonprofit that I'm doing called Louisiana Words. So it's not leather related. It's for writing. I mean, I'm always reading people, but
Right.
so the Vixens, you have a shirt on.
Yes.
You mentioned the Vixens. Let's talk about the Vixens.
Yeah. The Vixens is a leather club up here in Baltimore. We are primarily aimed towards women and non-binary folk. Um, Kind of offering a space for where there wasn't previously a space. A lot of other clubs in our area are open to more female and non-binary identifying members, but we really wanted to create a space that centered them.
So non-binary, correct?
Yes.
So let's play a game. You're my sibling. We can have a game.
Okay.
There's a panel.
Uh huh.
building a panel of people to represent the community.
Okay.
You have 7 seats at the table.
Okay.
How many non-binary people do you feel should have seats in that table to explain or to explore the range of non-binary lifestyle?
If we're talking just exploring the range of non-binary lifestyle, I mean, we could fill the entire panel with all 7 of them being non-binary, because there's so many ways to work and identify with your gender, that it's hard to say, because the way that I experience my non-binariness right now is different than the way that I experienced it when I first came out and realized it. So it not only spans from person to person, but like over time, it just everything shifts. It's weird.
Do you feel that sometimes with representation that if people are like, oh, well, we have one non-binary person, so we're good. You know what I'm saying? That's why I asked the question, and I agree.
Yeah, yeah, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, everyone kind of feels like if you get the token, then you've got it. If you've got one, you've got enough. But the same could be said for like any other identity. If I have one person of color on the panel, then that clearly covers every person of color's experience, right? One woman speaks for every woman. Um, so I do think it's important for panels and events and groups to make sure they're keeping in mind that the intersectionality of it all, that some people can fill multiple of those roles, but you want to make sure you're getting as many options as you can.
I feel like we're broadening our perspective of gender. For me, if I were like, I'm gonna pick a panel all non-binary people, I'm gonna be like, okay, like the criteria and what they're looking for is just going to probably be different, right? Like
100%.
it's not necessarily that the process to get to a win or the experience would change, only how you're judged and what they're looking for. I feel like if we're expanding our ideas of gender and how we perform that, I feel like we should give I hate looking at things like, okay, we're looking at a man and this is how we're judging men, we're looking at women, we're judging this. Like, I don't see why we can't have this spectrum of standards and judging criteria that just eradicate gender, like, and we've done contests and we've gone through this, you know
Yeah.
I much rather would have loved to have done a fantasy scene over me doing pecs and personality.
Oh my God, I would have loved to have done a fantasy. Oh, they look like so much fun.
It just seems
uh
like the brain is where I am most like comfortable, and I just feel like I would have been really able to like be comfortable on stage had I come and been able to show my substance more.
right, like, not Pecs and personality is a fantastic part of the contest, but I feel like there's other ways to show off the personality of it, and focus on that part. Um, but I would have loved to do a fantasy. Oh my God.
Like how do we get to that? Do you see a future where we can get to that, to where, I'm like, okay, if we're going to keep it separate, can we at least have the same categories and choices? Why not add pecs and personality to the women and add, fantasy scene to the men's? I mean,
So a lot of I can speak for my contest specifically, the Maryland Leather. That conversation has come up a few times, because Maryland Leather is not a gender title, meaning that the person who wins can select mix, miss, mister, whatever they want to pick. But this year is the first year that Maryland has had a contestant that went from Maryland to IMSL. And the Maryland contest is run with the IML format. You have your sexy wear, you have your speech, that. But so that the idea that it doesn't really prepare a contestant if they're going to the non IML tracks has been brought up, and it's hard to say, because no matter the system that you're using, fantasy, if you're using the puppy systems, like, they're all a little bit different in their scoring. They all have their flaws and they all have their reasons they do it, but I do think that fantasies to me are more fun than a speech or a hot wear or something like that, because it's a show. It's fun to watch from the audience.
yeah, I mean, like if I would go back, I would have. I would have used the stage to be more myself. I didn't know what to expect, but I've had these conversations with people. Why is my hat doing all this? Um, I mean, I've been preaching this message about the if we're going to say we want to treat everyone equally, I think that's one place within our community that we can start, be the change. And so for me, I shouldn't think that putting seven binary people on a panel is going to somehow miss my masculinity or confuse my femininity or misgender who I like. I feel like people want things so simplified and they can't understand how you could have a non binary leader and that person understand and empathize with you maybe in a way that you don't you might I don't think a lot of people when I had this conversation with Renee on here a few weeks ago, not everybody has empathy, like, or you have to learn it, you know what I'm saying? Well,
For
it's
sure.
to tap into it and understand it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's definitely something that a lot of times comes with growth. There's a big learning curve, especially as we're, you know, looking into more queer identities and trying to gain labels, but also lose labels at the same time. It's a lot of effort has to be put in.
and lots of communication, of course. And I think that I don't know. I think that some people, I don't know if I want to. They're asshole-ish people that are just like that don't want to put in the effort to know and understand, and they disregard it. It's unfortunate, but it really doesn't take a lot of time to just like understand a person or to like listen or get a why and a what. And I think so many people judge and keep things at a distance that they don't understand. And
Yeah,
so, you know, of course, we face discrimination within our bigger, wide scale LGBTQI plus community. We're stereotyped, not just
absolutely.
people outside of our community, but people within our community. So and then being non-binary, there's just constant discrimination that you're having to put up with as a human being. It's compounded in multiple different ways.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. A lot of people don't realize how the different things stack up on top of each other because someone will see someone and think oh they struggle because non-binary people don't gender correctly, but it's that it's maybe they're also a person of color, maybe they're someone who has a not typical body shape and things like that, that they want that all those things get looked down upon by society and they compound onto each other, and it can take a lot out of a person to just openly and authentically be themselves. A lot of times a conscious decision.
And I could see I can see the fear in not wanting to express who you are in so many different ways because we have to come out so many different ways. But if you feel like the people around you don't want to make the effort to understand how you don't have the courage, like, is it really that hard to learn somebody's pronouns or what they want to be called? Why does it have to be like so like life threatening for someone to be called the pronouns they want to be called? Like, language has been met, words have always been met to the master of language,
Yeah,
to be a master of language. If you're comfortable with language, you don't have a problem with it. I think we get resistance so much for people that obviously are less educated or don't want to be educated on it.
100% that. I operate with kind of a system of, if you misgender me, and I correct you, I know that 9 times out of 10 it was not meant with any ill intent. A simple correction. Hey, the occasional slip up, I get it. It happens. I understand that I, as a non-binary person, am very like mask forward presenting. I have a beard. In all at first glance, I'm a dude. I look like a dude, and I accept that. But whenever I've corrected you and you continue to consciously choose to go against the correction, that's when the tone starts to shift.
But we also, and with our community, there's a little bit of, is it arrogance in our identities that sometimes we expect people to ask or to know. And I have seen people respond in a bitchy manner when someone has innocently
Yeah,
got the pronoun wrong, and they're like, "That's not blah blah. You should." And it's just like, no, we have to be just as patient with other people as we want them to be patient with us.
yeah. Again, like I said, it's for me, it's always that it depends on how you're coming at me with it. You know, if are we, do I believe that it was genuinely like just not knowing? Then sure, correction, move on. Like if people immediately jump to assuming the worst, it people are going to start assuming the worst out of you.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So what are like, so you're in Baltimore, you're doing that, and what is the community like in Baltimore? Like what are your go-to events? Like what are you behind the scenes doing there?
So I love the Baltimore community so much. It's a special little pocket of weird that's like so many cities, but also so unlike them in so many ways. Um, I love it because it has such a spooky past. The Ouija board was invented there, Poe's from there, obviously. You know, there's so much here in Maryland that has that weird occult vibe. Our leather community is small, but it's so good. We have a couple clubs locally. The Vixens, Command MC. We have Potomac down in DC, which is pretty close, often involved in our stuff. Um, our regular events every Sunday at Mixer's Bar. We have Eagle and Exile. Jack Thompson, former IML, is the bartender there. A hell of an extremely great event. So much fun on a Sunday. We have Clifton Pleasure Club, which is a social club based in Baltimore. Some of the best food that you'll ever have. Amelia there is the cook. She owns it. It's a woman, lesbian owned, operated queer business. It's incredible. Um, we have a bunch of pretty good events. I'm going to plug Maryland Leather, obviously. Maryland Leather is great. We have great play parties, great contests, really fun events. We highlight boot blacks, we highlight play. Command does a great job. Boot Black Roundup happens in Maryland at the I'm gonna forget the name of the convention center, but at a convention center in Baltimore, Boot Black Roundup happens. Uh, yeah, we've got a lot of really cool stuff happening. We just had a Boot Black Collective startup, the Charm City Boot Black Collective. They do educational things a lot of times on Sundays at Mixers. They're trying to get that off the ground, and it's more of a focus on skill sharing and empowering boot blacks in a non-contest space.
Do you do bootbacking?
I do not. My sir is a boot black. A lot of the members of my family have dabbled in boot blacks, two primarily, Foxy and Joffrey. A lot of my friends are boot blacks. I do not have the patience or the skill set to do it.
I
Uh,
I can definitely see that it requires a lot of patience and skill set that I also do not have. So I totally can
yeah,
relate.
I will happily give someone money to do it for me. Uh, Absolutely fantastic, especially if they're going to do it sexy. I love a sexy boot blacking scene. Oh, it's so hot.
So in terms of how you present yourself and things that you wear, I've seen you in some looks for sure. Some really, whew, I definitely can't keep up with you with the fashion for sure. I'm not there yet. But in terms of how you present yourself in leather, like let's talk about that a little bit. You are also a pup.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I would say androgynous in your dress.
Yeah, I definitely try
Heel,
to
big heel.
gender fuck my leather. Heels. Yeah, at IML, the one time I didn't trip was, or the one time I tripped was when I wasn't wearing 8-inch heels. Uh, yeah, I try to present my leather in a, I mean, I present in a way that just makes me feel cool. Um, I pull from a lot of references from punk bands. There's I use a lot of like Japanese fashion, K-pop, J-pop, idols as references. Always a little bit spooky. I like to always reference that. I use a completely black and white color scheme with most of my gear. Um, yeah, for me, it's just about looking cool. Like it's clothes are clothes. If I don't want to look like the main character in a video game, then what am I doing?
Oh, we need to look like the main character in a video game.
Yeah, like that's all this is life is just a going through in a really dumb way. It's a going through a game. You know, you have the character that you control, and you can decide the options that you pick for them. And yes, sometimes the game forces you to do really annoying things like a job and taxes and things like that. But the fun is the getting to play yourself. You know, customize your avatar, get that surgery, dye your hair. You know, do what makes you feel the best version of you because you've got one life here to live. And if you don't walk out your front door every day feeling like you're the main character, it's your life.
You do you, and that's a great, I mean, be the main character. How do you, in your everyday life, what motivates you to walk out and be the main character?
Um, for me, it's about I had a really hard upbringing. I had a mom that was on drugs. She passed really early in my life. I kind of spent all of my formative years thinking that I was a burden, that I wasn't good enough, that I was just taking up space. Uh, and it was meeting my partner Indigo, um, and then finding a community that really accepted and loved me for me, that proved to me that like I'm here to take up space and that's okay. It may not always be good space, sometimes I mess up, but it's about learning how to move forward from things and present your best self, and that's what motivates me to do it. Because there's going to be that one person that sees me doing it and says I can do it too.
Right. I definitely think that your confidence and your self-expression are definitely inspirational, and it's amazing. I wish I had that taste, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning with my, they need like a Victoria's Secret for leather. With
You come out to Baltimore, I'll dress you up sometime.
okay. All right.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
No, I don't like to wear a lot, so we got to come up with something that is authentically me.
Deal. I think we can find something skimpy enough.
All right, I got a question for you, and this is where you're about to do the hard work.
Okay.
All right, Vanis. Is
Mm-hmm.
there any aspect of our community that you feel that we are not shedding enough light on?
I think that we should put more emphasis on events that do not pertain to a contest. I love contests. Obviously, did the Maryland thing, did the IML thing. Love contests. So many of my friends have held titles. It's a very central thing in my universe. But some of the best events that I go to, don't focus on the contest of it. This year I attended boot camp out in San Francisco. There's no contest. It was just a weekend of play. That was so much fun. Boot Black Roundup, where it focuses on education. A lot of those are really important spaces in our community that we think of the glitz and glam of contests and don't think about the other parts of it.
Yeah, I think, and that's my most frustrating part of the community is the contest circuit and the energy that goes into making a contest. And I get frustrated because I wish that amount of energy went into the greater community as a whole. Um,
Yeah,
I see us calling out people, on that are judging or behind the contest. I don't see that same kind of call out in our normal day. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And like that's not to say that like contests are the worst part. There a lot of good comes from contests, but there is a sense of it does sometimes bring out the worst in us. It brings out that the call it what it is. It brings out a little bit of the shady gay in us that wants to pick at and wants to know the tea, and it
Some of us.
Some of us.
Some of
But sometimes those some of us have a dozen voices, and they make them real loud.
Of course, but a lot of times the people that are raised in hell are people that need to keep their mouth shut.
Uh, I'm
Look,
not going to disagree with that.
my goal in this community is not to point to you and be like, "You're fucking up. You're not doing this. You did this wrong, and you don't represent this, and you're not representing this." That's not helping you. I'm like helping you is, hey, Vanus, hey, you had this program the other day. I was just making a suggestion. Maybe you want to include some more bisexual people on it, and that's
Right.
it. A
I
conversation between me and you.
I think that as a community, it would value us just as much of to call out as it would to call in. Not everything needs to be this big public spectacle. Especially if for like a first time offense, or like the person may genuinely have known better. Or even if they did know better, like calling in should always be the first option, because we've seen the way that it can pile on, when it becomes a public spectacle. And suddenly what was about topic A is now on topic C, and we're still spiraling quickly. And it doesn't help us, especially in a time when we need to be as united as possible, because the world itself is trying to get us.
I don't like fighting in front of our enemies. Like,
Right. If we show them a crack in the armor, they're going to exploit that.
and the cracks are petty cracks. They're
Yes.
petty things.
Yes.
I mean, I'm with you, but like, it's just kind of like that's where I struggle because there's so much. It's like people are like, "Well, you run for another title again?" And there was this part of me that wanted to, and I've been saying now for a few episodes that I don't think that a leather title circuit to IML is what I am. I will I run for something possibly, but not
Sure.
for another leather title. Like I don't need to go back and add for extra help. Either people want to help me or not at this point.
Right.
And so much stress, so much drama, so much comes with that title that you have to be prepared for.
A
And
100%.
got to have the mental health for it. So, I don't consider my title year to be the happiest moments of my leather career. If that
No, absolutely not. I'm a firm believer that my title should not be the headline of my resume. It's not the coolest thing about me.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not Vanus because I was mixed Maryland leather. I was mixed Maryland leather because I'm Vanus. That me is the cool part, and that's just a bullet point on the list.
But not everyone gets to that realization. Like I said, there are. I mean, in our own group too. I mean, like there are just people that are gone.
Yeah,
We may
yeah,
never see them again. We never, like I've reached out to a few of our siblings, didn't hear anything back. It's just kind of like, I have my beings. I know I keep up with the group chat and I comment when I can, but
right,
I have a dinger, so I know what's going on.
right.
We're still communicating, but at this point, this far, coming off of IML 46 and where we are now, I mean, you're focusing on what your all star people are at this point.
Right. We make those connections with individuals of us and stuff like that, and that's not to say that I have any less connection or desire to speak with those I don't talk to regularly, but it's just we've moved on, and we focus on the people that are easiest to focus on in our life.
Right, and I mean that, but we're all still invested in wanting to do things, and I think people once they've done it, they don't have that drive anymore, or they realize, hey, this isn't something I really want to dedicate, you know,
Yeah,
more than this to, and it is what it is. But just like when you do IML, you're only going to be together one time like that. It's not going to happen. There's no way, like especially this past class. There's no way that 68 of you guys are going to reunite next IML. It's
no,
not just because everything changes after that.
the sheer logistics of it,
That
like
that too, but definitely if you're living across the seas, I'm sure you have 4 Australians come being in this class this past year was freaking amazing.
oh yeah,
Uh, that's not a
yeah,
fucking
it's a weird thing to think of. it's almost a little bit of a trauma bond that happens in that weekend where it's like forced and quick. And then to think that like there are some of those people that like you may have had some really deep, really like deep cutting emotional conversations with that you're never going to see again.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know, some of our non-American siblings, just purely the fact of life, I may never physically see them again. And that's something that, it does take a lot of understanding to get to. There are some people that don't see the IML like class, the competition. They see it purely as, can I go? Can I win? That's it. That's the only thing they care about, and that's great. Love that for them. I hope they have the best time they can. But realistically, uh, only one person can win.
And you're going to be let down if that's. I mean, you're going to be
Yeah,
everyone's going to be let down except for one person. Like, and if you go in that I'm going to be let down, and that's going to be your thing. I think that the best way going into IML is like, okay, let me network, let me do all this, let me show up on the stage, let me make people remember me and that I'm here for the long game. You know what I'm saying?
right. The best advice that I was given was when you go to what I was given this contest for Maryland. Uh, Make sure when you go on stage, you have something you want to do that is not winning. And for me at IML, I wanted to go and look cool as shit. I wanted to go and wear the coolest fucking clothes and be the person that I always dreamed of being. And I got to do that. There are people that want to go and develop those long time friendships and find a community because they may not have. I'm blessed here in Baltimore. I know Austin, y'all have an amazing community there, but some of our siblings, they have a community that doesn't do much. There are places out there that doesn't get the support we get, and that's what IML gives them is that community.
All right, Vanessa. Well, that brings us towards the end of our episode. I'm so glad you came on. This is great. Always nice to have to be talking about something that's interesting. I guess that is like that is like we got to talk about gender for a lot of this episode, especially in when we're dealing with what's happening now in our country. And I feel I connect with you as someone that doesn't care about gender, is attracted to you know
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest parts of my like non-binary identity and like going to these other events, especially non-men focused events, is realizing women are so hot. uh, I'm gonna look directly at the camera when I say this. Women are so hot. Leather women play on a different fucking level. It's so much fun. And if people would just commit to opening their mind a little bit and just seeing the leather community for the leather community, there's so much fun to be had here.
Well, that is definitely a clip. There we go. We're going to make sure this was a clip. All right, man. We got one thing left to do. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to count to three. And when I count to three, you're going to say, if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
Got it.
Ready?
Okay. Got it. Go.
All right. One, two, three.
If you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
Perfect. Perfect, Vanis. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you all for watching. This episode will be up in just a bit. Bye, y'all.
Thank you guys.